Good morning, everybody. No, it's late in the afternoon. We really made a great deal of effort, but we did something today that's quite unusual for what we were doing. We wanted to use a live PowerPoint just to give you a few pictures and details to make it easier to comprehend what's standing before you. This show is aimed largely at the heart and soul of parents, but really it applies to everybody because what's going on, it's all of our situation. And this could be because you're a grandparent and you're concerned about your grandchildren. It could be a parent because you're concerned about your own child. And it could be just you as a person saying, what is my future really about? And this whole school issue is pivotal to every other choice that we're going to make. Because really what we're looking at is abuse and destruction of the way we live that has a quality of life. And this COVID is being used to strip us of everything. Personally, it's ticking me off pretty bad because children are being held hostage to a political gain and a political change that's stripping our constitutional rights. Kids, our children, the most precious aspect of that we want to protect, and we're going to use them as a hostage and interfere dramatically and seriously with their developmental needs and their educational needs. One of the things in the book that I've recently wrote, and I only wrote this book because parents right now were in quite a conundrum and under a lot of stress. So I put this book together called The Heart and Soul of Parenting Handbook. And it's a step-by-step skills to empower both parent and child. This book gives you a lot of bottom line information that everybody suffers from not having. I call that we all suffer from incomplete education. Incomplete? Why? Because one of the most vital things we all need as an adult is what? We need to know how to parent. Whether we're going to have a child or not, the odds are our biological imperative is going to really be screaming at us. And we're going to be really feeling a lot of urging to start a family. Now, I know with this whole COVID thing and everything up in the air, the rioting, the watching of our freedoms being ripped apart and taken away from us, the Constitution being desecrated, all this fear-mongering, where we can't even get both sides of an issue, where medical doctors are being censored, and everything is to favor the peons. Who the hell's at the CDC? Are they smarter than the frontline doctors who are working with people and have outright evidence of what's working and not working? I don't think so. Is some kind of government bureaucrat working at the Department of Health smarter and got better information than a frontline doctor? I don't think so. And I'm assuming that most people listening to this show are also thinking, what the hell is going on? I was being very cooperative and I was thinking, okay, I just want to do my part. And now it's beginning to say, where the hell is my life gone? Where is my quality of life? Where do we get to sit down and enjoy each other? Where do we get to go out and have a family meal to celebrate our kid's birthday or my mom's birthday or a friend's graduation or anything? Where do we get to go? How do we have that same quality we used to have? A very dear friend of ours died this week from a heart attack. It was clearly a heart attack. It was a beautiful passing because it was quietly in his home in his favorite chair, and he just passed away. But it was shocking because he was young enough we would not have anticipated losing him so early in life. And we're going to miss his unique sense of character and his funny sense of humor and his skills. He was a wonderful Aikido practitioner, and we learned so much from him on the mat because of the unique perspectives and qualities he brought to the mat for being just who he was at the level of skill he had. And so now I get to also look at how the sharing of his passing and the celebration of his life is being highly diminished because of all this COVID nonsense. And I'm calling it nonsense now because it's pretty darn clear it's not about a virus anymore. For me, just the most simple thing is when a city or a government agency can pass a mandate that says everybody wears a mask, including 4-year-olds, despite what the doctors are saying, despite what we've discovered, despite what we know. We want to stick with this idea that everybody has to wear a mask, even though we know they're very unlikely working and that they actually hurt your health. And we know all this crap because we've already said there's an exception, and everybody at the government offices does not have to wear one. You have to be blind. You have to turn off your thinking to say, okay, that makes sense. You have to literally turn off your critical thinking. And you literally have to not think, does that add up? Does that connect to the other dot? Really? Is this virus that bright that it sits there and goes, you know, I have this thing for civilians, but I don't for government officials? I mean, it would be a joke. It would be a comedy that you could put into a comic book and say, oh my God, isn't that hysterical? But it's our life, and it's happening in our life, and there are people who are literally accepting it. Now, this show is not for those who are accepting it and love that idea and are willing to give everything up because all they want to do is have somebody tell them what to do. This show is for all of those Americans and people, whether you're an American or not, and specifically parents, because you have a very special obligation and job that most of us don't have. And that is ushering in the future for your child. And it's your job. You have to protect how people are going to destroy them, how people are going to indoctrinate them into thinking that they're nobody, that they're unworthy, that they are dangerous, and that every other child, the wisdom of the child showing us the way, is being attacked. I can't imagine anybody, especially Christians, accepting that. I mean, that's a age-old teaching that is held dear in many different viewpoints, whether we are of a particular religion or not. The deep spirit of the children being innocent and showing us the way speaks to our heart and soul, and it's a truth. It's an eternal truth. So right now we have all this crap trying to get in the way and undo the eternal truth. And it got my dander up when it started approaching on the quality of my life. You know, I'm at that age where I lived most of my life. I already know that. And I look and say, I don't want to ruin the years I have left in a sterile environment. I want quality of life. I want handshakes and I want hugs and I want to see your smiling face. And if you're sad, I want to be able to see that. And I want to comfort you face to face. I don't want to be looking through this mask and I don't even know who the hell's on the other side. It could be you, it could be somebody else. I mean, all I'm really looking at is your hairdo. And, hey, I don't like the hairdos that much. I like your face more than I like your hairdo. But then again, that's me. And maybe that's you. I'm thinking, free people, it is them. And I'm watching Tryson over there with this grin from ear to ear. I'm enjoying so much. Okay? And that's what we need. When you get off an airplane, or at least it used to be not even that long ago, just a few months ago, and you're looking for somebody there who's to pick you up. What were you looking for? You were looking for a face to see your face, and you were looking to say, right? Of course. Of course. And is there any valid, legitimate reason that we have to give up that part of our spirit? That part that makes us human? I was thinking the other day in the yard. Birds were all running around. They weren't scared. They weren't worried. They were enjoying bird life at its max. And they were having a good time. I was watching the squirrels, man, doing the same thing. And then I was watching the flowers and the plants. And then I thought, nobody, no part of Mother Earth's great environment and in her lovely world was sitting there shaking in fear over dying about something that was part of the environment. There was a trust in the divine design because they weren't questioning it. Now we're questioning it like crazy to the point where our minds are so burdened that we are giving up everything that makes having tomorrow a beautiful day. We are allowing it to be stripped of its essence of joy and fun and beauty, and really trusting that God loves us, that the Creator has not stopped loving us and has not sent down this vile virus that is biased and thinks that it only wants to attack some people more than others. Like, it just really has this protective, warm, fuzzy feeling for government officials. No. You have to be truly, truly unconscious. Wake up, get conscious, and you have to think. I'm sorry. You have to think. Am I sorry that you have to think? No, I'm only sorry that it worries you. And you might think you don't have to think and you'd rather not think. That's what I'm sorry about. I'm sorry that you get that much fear and you're suffering so much in your fear that you are willing to give up some of your most precious assets as a human being. Your relationships, your ability to think, to trust yourself, and to go and say, you know what? I would like a quality of life back more than I want to fear what might happen because of some exaggerated, out of disproportionate fear for a virus that isn't even hardly killing anybody. Who cares? If there's a bajillion cases, who cares? It doesn't mean a damn thing. Oh, a darn thing, excuse me. But it really doesn't mean a damn thing because it's damned. It's damnable to hell to think that I should be afraid of something just because it exists and because it has hurt some people, but it's no longer hardly hurting anybody. And the number of deaths are insignificant. As a matter of fact, more people die of a heart attack, like my dear friend, than are actually dying of an infection from this ridiculous COVID that I'm going to call the carnivore virus, because it's devouring everything beautiful in us. And it's now being aimed at devouring the innocence, the beauty, the intelligence, and the very vital education your child needs and deserves. Okay, so I'm going to go back here for just a second. Okay, this is a handbook, and it's unlike hardly anything I've seen on the market. Okay, the child is of any age. This applies from toddlers to teens and even pre-toddlers. The child is reaching to the light that he sees as his parents. All children see their parents as the light and love of their world. You are their superhuman. You are their most precious protector. You do not want to toss that in the garbage, do you? Do you? I think what you need to understand is that you have rights and that your job as a parent is the most important job in the universe. That's my opinion. You may throw that out in the garbage if you want, but I really, really have always thought parents have the most precious, most powerful job in this universe. And I talk about it in this book, and I talk about how you can look at that job and fill in the gaps of a complete education that never taught you how to parent, never taught you about some of the key things you need to understand about child development. This book can be gotten on Amazon, and Will and Tryson will make sure that there's several links. You can get it in ebook form. You can really get it at the libraries, but so many libraries are shut down that I don't even know if you can check it out. But you should be able to check it out as an ebook at least, because I know it's running through Overdrive, which is their ebook, one of their ebook accesses. Okay, I made sure I could get it out as many ways and channels as quickly as I could. Not to rush it to print as a piece of crap, but to rush it to print. I didn't sleep day and night getting this together for you so I could get it out. Okay, and there were just so many things blocking getting it out quicker than it got out. But I was not willing to just publish a piece of garbage with just a superficial platitudes. I really, really worked very hard to line out step by step. You could read it, do this, and then here's some notes about that might answer all your questions. Then here's step 2, and here's a bunch of questions you might have that pertain to your particular child, because every child is a little different. They're ultimately the same, but their innocence and their need to trust you. They look to you to have answers because they know they don't know hardly anything. They know that. That's why they're so primed to learn and they want a great education. We've been dumbing down kids for over 30 years and we've been complaining. I think the beauty of this whole COVID garbage has exposed how inappropriate education has become and how it fails to train you to be a thinking, confident, aware adult. If people can't think beyond the insanity of mandates that are so unconscious that they are outright stupid, you have to say, oh my God, what have we done? What has our acceptance done to our society? We have to stop it. We've already let 2 or 3 generations slip through the cracks in a very unhappy, burdens my heart kind of way. But there's children right now. They are not going through the cracks except by your choice. You accept what people are offering you as an even dumber dumbing down of education that will indoctrinate them to be afraid of other human beings. To not see a face is to train your child to be a sociopath. A sociopath cannot connect and care about another human being. Is that what you want your child? If we thought the teen years were difficult before COVID, I can guarantee you, with the type of education with masks and the way the NEA has decided that they will only allow a school to open, will ruin your child and make them scare you before their teen years. And you will not be the one who's spending most of the day with them. Think about this. I can help you. There's many people who can help you. Okay? But you have to be willing to say, okay, I want to be the parent that I am. Okay, how do I do it? Okay? In the book, I was trying to find the comment, but I don't really quite see it here at the moment. Oh, I found it! On page 206. I make a statement here. It says, our walking sacred space, which is who we are and our unified energy field, okay, is sacred space. And that sacred space naturally loves. And we know that from our children. They just naturally love us. They see the best in us. That's why the child and the wisdom of the child would show us the way. Not what they don't know, because they're looking to us to teach them about this world. But they're bringing back the spirit and the heart and soul that the world may have trained out of us. They help us bring it back. And so much of what I write about here is how to do that and how to keep that. And any parent can do this. And I'm willing to make a commitment. Anybody who buys this book, and you can prove to me you bought it, I will open free webinars to answer your questions and help you specifically with the difficulties you might have in trying to understand how to plug this in. If you should even have those problems. You might not. I think many parents are going to zip through this and they're going to just go, boom, oh, it works. But there's going to be some children who might be more difficult, especially strong-willed children, and having somebody to talk about the specifics of that, I'm going to make myself available to you. And I want to make it easy. I want to make it easy because I know you're under so much stress. Okay? But you have to invest, at least in the book, to tell me you're serious. Okay? Then I will help you. And I'm going to make it easy for you. And you're going to tell me how I can make it easy for you. And we're going to work together. We're going to be a team. You are the one I will be helping. And I will also help you know how to pick a good school from a crappy school. I will help you. Because my heart and soul beats for children. And a quality education so that we can have a future worth having. So anyhow, I'm going to go and read this again. Our walking sacred space loves. Thus it mingles with face-to-face smiles and touching that Dr. Maria Montessori observed, that created the amazing Montessori environment, which is based on touch, because touch was the strongest way to organize the mind and to bring forth its genius. Your child's genius needs to be pulled forward, and there's techniques that make that so much better and amplify the ability to do that. Current education in a public school does not do that, not even for special needs children. I could tell you stories that would just rip your heart out and just make you angry, and how they abandon special needs children to even sloppy special ed. But that's not my purpose for the show today, other than to wake you up and tell you you have a choice, and you have to be a parent, and you have to use your power. Okay? So, Dr. Maria Montessori created one of the world's most prestigious education methods. Let's frankly talk and rise to the unexpected challenges that have fallen into our laps, particularly drawing to our attention how horrible education was. This is a gift for you to see it. You can have a choice that you did not really recognize you had last year. Exercise that power. There's guidance available. You got to reach out and you got to get the guidance. It's not going to just drop in your lap like falling stars from the sky. That's not thinking, okay? You have to exercise your power. Here's one way. Get a book, get educated, fill in a lot of the gaps in your education, and realize just what you can do and how it's a lot easier than you may have thought, and how there's actual people rising to support you. And let's help transition into an education that no longer dumbs kids down, but lifts them up to be the very best they can be. Okay? So this bad situation, parents, you're the best people in the world. You are the most powerful, most well-positioned people to really turn this on a dime and to make something wonderful come out, and a new education. And it's not going to come through the public school system. Okay? You got to demand that you get that tuition check in the form of a voucher, because the education system that the public is providing outright sucks. And you're not going to accept it. You've had it. You're more than over the top with it. You will not accept it. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but I know you can see my passion. Okay, I want you to see my passion, because I was listening to some wonderful videos. And one of them that I came to was Steve Jobs. And I realized in going down his 10 steps of what he defined as success, well, I was doing most of them naturally on my own, but I wasn't taking that out as big as he was. And then I realized, you got to step forward in a bigger way, Sharon. You just got to do it because the need is there. And he touched me so deeply again and made me really realize that advocating and helping parents see that they are an amazing power is something I can do. And that's what I'm starting to do here. Help me to do it better. Help me reach you better. Help me help you. But you got to tell me what you need and how you need it. And then I'll find solutions, and I'll get other people, and we'll work together to help you. And I already got some irons in the fire working with some people. Okay? So this unexpected challenge that has fallen into our laps. Well, We have a Constitution that protects our freedoms to be the best we can be, and it grants us a sacred space. That is what our Constitution grants us, a sacred space. And what have we been doing with it? We've been taking it for granted. All of this is the gift to make us rethink and re-embrace and have a deeper respect for what we can say we're taking back, because it's slipping through our fingers right now, and we can close those fingers and stop the slippage right now. Okay, not tomorrow, not next week, because then the slippage just will go further and further away, and you might have nothing left but a drop in your hand. Do it before the well of water in your hands is seeped through. That's what I'm here to encourage you and help you to do. Okay? It was almost poetic. Okay. And our Constitution grants us a sacred space to give our kids an education to thrive. An education to thrive. Isn't that what you had desired when you gave birth? What? Better? Okay. The directors have just told me to move my bud. Thank you, guys. Huh? Okay. They'll tell me later. They're having a certain joy back there. And it's because they're somehow they're interacting with you guys. Okay. So, we want to give our children an education to thrive. And I'm going to show you at least one or two things here that I think you're going to be able to say, does it fit the definition? This is going to get my child to thrive and to be the very best he can be, to pull out his potential, to be creative and more loving and a real leader that I could be proud of, to say, oh, that's my kid. Wow, that's my child who grew up to be an amazing adult. Not an adult that you're going to say scares the shit out of you because of the things he's doing that you'd say, I never intended, I never raised my child to be that way. No, do not let that be a remorse you create. That's why we're talking right now, because we can stop it. But you got to stop it now. Now is the key moment of power. Okay? And not to merely survive. I think when you see something I'm going to show you in a few minutes, you're going to realize the only thing your child's going to be taught is to survive and think of me and be afraid of every other human being, and to have such a cold heart that they won't care if the government says, shoot that person. They're not worthy. You'll do it. Because you will have been indoctrinated and distanced so much from your heart and the soul of who you are as a person, as well as every other person, that you'll do it. It happened in Germany. And beautiful people were doing things that absolutely ate up their heart and soul, and they did it. But they did it. Now they're training people to do it with absolutely no remorse. That should run cold blood right through you. They're training people to be reptilian in their minds, because that's cold-blooded, cold-hearted, and does not enjoy the warmth of touch. All mammals love warmth and touch. Think about that. Okay? With ever-increasing fallout around us, more masks, the NEA screaming, I'm not going to allow those kids to be in school unless you hit our demands. And our demands are all the kids wear masks. They'll all be separated. We have the CDC guiding our every move, and whether or not we can teach them something or not teach them something, or we have to spend more time cleaning and just, excuse me, but I almost threw up on that. You should too. It's nauseating and it's disgusting. And who is being hurt? Your child. Your precious child, who until they're 21 needs you, the parent, to be their guardian, their protector, their champion. That's your job. Not just to hug them, but to fight for them and to say, no, they're going to thrive, and this is how they're going to thrive, and you're not going to take them down that path and turn them into non-feeling, scaredy human beings who will come home and won't even listen to me anymore, because you will have trained them that I, as their parent, are insignificant. It's coming. You just look at the pictures and you tell me that's not what's coming. Okay? So, with this ever-increasing fallout around us, threatening to rob us of our quality living, quality teaching, quality learning, quality of life, quality of friendships, loving and caring, okay? The best you can be, taking you away from being the best you can be. Not training you to be the best, but training you to be mean, to be distanced, to be an uncaring human being. That makes me shudder to even think about it, okay? But if you decide to champion your kids, and say no, end this cataclysmic mess, you have more power than any other sector of our population to make that happen. And you'll do it on the one thing that nobody can really, with a straight face, argue. You don't want your kids harmed. You don't want your kids hurt. Well, I do. I think that's a good plan. Really? You see what I'm saying? It's the most powerful position to make the argument for thriving, and legitimately so, because you'd literally be talking about a child whose every day gets one more day older, one more day through a developmental cycle that is not being properly addressed to truly ensure thriving. Okay? We have to ensure thriving. And we can't go and pick up drop stitches. We can't pick up 6 months or 9 months of misdevelopment because the child is moving into another level of development, and now that's a void. We can attempt to fill it, but it is so much harder, and we rarely are able to fill the void in the same way. Doesn't that bother you? You didn't know that, did you? That is what people don't want you to know. I want you to know what I know. Because your children depend upon you knowing more, way more than you do because you weren't educated properly. Let's fix that problem, because we can do that now. Okay? And now here's the phrase that was so important to me, and I closed the book with this. I think parents are a force of nature, the most powerful motivators on this planet. I'm going to say that one more time because I think it is key. I think parents are a force of nature, the most powerful motivators on this planet. And you are. I want you to understand that. I want you to grasp and hold on to that and say, and beam with pride and joy and say, yeah, I am a force of nature. And here I come. And I'm going to do it. If I can't do it for myself, I didn't do it for myself. But I can and will do it for my child, and I will not give up. I am their champion, their superhero. Be that. By nature, the divine made you that way. Okay, so now let's look at a little something here. Okay, so how do I go to this again? I talked, and now I forgot my cues from the director.
No problem. I'll help you.
Thank you, he'll help me. Oh, we love being helped. So this is what everybody's seeing now?
No. Gotta shrink.
Okay.
Yes.
We gotta shrink me. Ah, that's good. Get me as small as you can.
There you go.
Okay, that's as small as we can make me. It would have been this one, the second one.
There you go.
Okay. Parents are number one. Okay? You are the force of nature and the protectors of a legacy worthy of your child's future. Think about that for a moment. Just chew on that for a moment. You are a force of nature. My God, you guys created a life that was a beautiful baby that was in your arms. You and the Creator got together, and in 9 months, this baby comes into the world, and then you realize, oh my God, we are now parents. And this beautiful child is looking up at you. Mommy, Daddy, take care of me, protect me. Make sure I have a future that was worth being born into. Do not, Mommy, Daddy, let me be indoctrinated to be reptilian. I want to be a loving, inspirited person who appreciates hugs, touch, and I will care about others. And with my amazing, thriving, and creative education that allows me to be the best I can be, I'll show you, Mom and Dad, the future you guys couldn't quite think of, because that's evolution. But right now, the lousy education that public school is offering under the guidance of the NEA will completely strip your abilities of your child to thrive. And then what kind of future will they create? You want them to have the most freedom, right? So they can have a legacy that's worthy of their future, so they can literally show you more of who humanity can be, right? We're in separation consciousness. We're in the throes of massive separation, massive abdication of our thought, being lied to, being tortured, being diminished. Our Constitution is being ripped apart. All these things we have to stop so our children can thrive and have a future. A bunch of burned up cities is not going to be what you want them to have, is it? I don't think so. I'm trusting that is no. Now, I love this quote, and it speaks even more poignantly today than it has ever spoken to my heart. And I hope it speaks to your heart, because it's powerful. It's profound. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. Whoa. Whoa. And yes, as a teacher, I recognize that this quote does not have its beginning quotation marks. Didn't have time to fix that. This was a rush to get this PowerPoint to you today. And as you saw, we were still a half hour late. And I don't think you want us to be 45 minutes late just for me to fix that little quotation mark. But maybe, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. And this was J. Krishnamurti, okay? I'm going to say it one more time. And close your eyes and listen to the power of these words. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. In your heart for a moment, while your eyes are still closed, think. Is our society healthy or profoundly sick right now? Let's go on. Okay? The new normal. And I got quotes around that because I ain't accepting it. And I know as a teacher it shouldn't have said ain't, but ain't really gets it across. It's intolerable. The new normal is as toxic as it can get in creating a quality of life worth living. Now, what are some of those things that make it toxic? Anybody want to throw anything out?
Social distancing.
Social distancing. Thank you. Absolutely. Straight on.
Well, we'll use the mainstream thing that comes out from some of these social justice groups. I can't breathe.
Okay, Will said, I can't breathe.
It's like,
All right? And what do you think? Did you think our Creator, God, the divine, whatever name you have for the Creator, do you think the Creator thought, breath's not that important? All right, parents, you all gave birth to a baby. What was the first thing that had to happen when that baby came out and hit the air, left the complete protection of your womb, and got out into the world? What was the first thing had to happen? The baby had to breathe. If the baby didn't breathe, it was a stillborn. You would have been heartbroken and having a funeral instead of celebrating a life. And I know that pain because my aunt gave birth to several stillborns. And so our families shared the pain of that reality. Okay? Breath is important. Okay, so the masks are a big attack on your breath. Now, the health officials who are telling you the truth are saying, you know what? You need O2, oxygen. You do not make your body healthier. You do not raise your immune system, which fights off diseases, particularly contagious ones like COVID is, supposedly. Let's say it is. Okay. Your immune system is God's design that has all these things. And I love Jared, but he's not here to talk. I love his explanation of how the immune system actually deals with anything that comes in that's foreign. in the case, a virus, okay? And so I'm not even going to try to reword his beautiful way of saying it because he just nails it. But the idea was very clear. Your immune system needs to breathe in the air, and you've got all these different mechanisms within your body that immediately go on alert and start creating a way that is the antibody, the divine vaccine. And it's internal, and your body makes it. Oh, I think I trust that better than science making me one that usually has a very small percentage of being effective, actually spreads it. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Do your homework. Do your homework. Oh, Will it can just say something. Yes, Will.
Next week we're going to do a special on oxygen. Nitrogen oxide is being brought up big time as a way of helping your body because it expands your veins and arteries. And if here's one little bit tidbit here, guys. Every time you breathe nasally, you are creating nitric oxide in your system. You have to have it. If you're not breathing, not only are you not getting nitric oxide, you're not getting oxygen, which you're supposed to be breathing in the first place.
Now, isn't that interesting? Look at how amazing the divine design is. Oh, Will, must you burden us with facts?
Well, next week I'm going to be putting out a lot of facts.
What I would love if everybody would just, or anybody just say, could you hear Will well enough? Because he's talking from another side of the mic, and I'd like to make sure you could hear him. Okay? Because what he said was important. All right, so what else is part of toxic? So mask wearing prevents us from breathing God's beautiful, fresh air that we are designed and need for optimal health. You know what else the mask does? It's even more potently dangerous. Do you know what that is? It covers your face. It covers your beautiful face. People cannot see you. All they can see are your eyes. If you were somebody who was had a bad intent, you can't see it on the face of another person. If somebody was about to rob you or hurt you or beat you, you couldn't identify your attacker. Criminals wear masks. Criminals are notorious for wearing masks, and we know it. What the hell do we want everybody wearing a mask for? I'm not going to say if you're sick, you wear one, and let me know that you're sick so I can maintain 6 foot from you. And then I'm going to really kind of wonder, why aren't you home? Now, you may be somebody, a very lovely lady that was here in our city, was trying to share with people that she has an immunodeficient disease, and she has to wear masks way before the COVID thing. She knows what masks do and don't do, and she had to wear them to protect herself from everyone else because her body did not have the same capacity to protect her. And people couldn't get the irony of what she was trying to say. Healthy people don't need a mask. They can't hurt you. And besides, we need to be more healthy by seeing each other. And we need to not be giving everybody mixed messages. So if I see somebody with a mask, I want to know one of two things. Either you're sick and you're isolating yourself, and I appreciate that, or you're somebody who's having difficulty negotiating the world, and I'd like to help you and respect you. But if everybody's wearing one, you've made a mockery. Wolf, 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 wolf. Well, where is the wolf? We can't tell. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible thought, okay? As being part of a new normal, the worst thing it does is it makes us not see each other. It desensitizes us to another human being. And if you thought cyberbullying was bad, I already see personal bullying going on because people got their face covered and they think it's okay to come up and violate your constitutional rights and to be a petty me and to be rude and to be crude. Very reptilian in my book, very cold. I've heard people wishing other people would die. What? What? I don't know how to interpret that. All I know is it made my blood run cold and my heart break that people could fall that far away from being a loving human being. Now, let's get back to how the new normal is toxic. And they're starting to really want to cram it in on your child. That's what makes me so angry. Okay? If life can't have quality, is it worth living? If I can't touch you and hug you, if we can't have dancing, we can't enjoy dinners together, and we can't go outside and see our neighbors and walk and wave to everybody, where's the joy? Life has become a whole lot less exciting, and the worth is being shot to hell. So I'm going to use a word about worth. Does anybody know the difference between hate and love and resentment? I'm going to give you a crash course. I'm an educator. I can't help myself. Okay, love is who we are. Love is an essence of being a human being. That's what that baby looks at coming out of the birth canal and into the eyes of other human beings and sees their faces. Bonds with the mother, the touch, okay? And has to see their face. When a baby cannot imprint upon the face of people, particularly the mother and the father, that child develops psychological conditions of not being able to relate to other human beings and to actually not have the warmth that they need to be human. Okay, they can be easily inhumane to other humans. Okay, so we know it's vital. Vital, vital, vital. Okay, so love is who we are. The opposite of love, what do you think that is? Most people, myself, I used to knee-jerk and say, hate. But it turned out that wasn't exactly correct when you looked at it from principle. You know what the opposite of love is? Fear. When the love that we are starts draining away, the first thing we feel is this massive loss of its love, and it's fear that it triggers. Fear. Oh my God. And when we feel the love that is inside of us, that is our essential spirit moving away, it's fear. Think about that. So then where does hate come in? Well, hate is the most extreme form of resentment. And resentment is you've taken my value and worth. Well, what was the essence of your value and worth? Your light and love, your consciousness, your creativity, your brilliance, your beauty, who you really are. So as people take that away from you, whether it's with masks, telling you you're not worthy, telling you, hey, get over the fact you got to accept you're a sinner. I mean, there's a million ways in which your worth is robbed. As that worth is taken more and more and more and more, it accelerates and it becomes like a pressure cooker that is hate. You hate your value being stripped from you. You hate it. No matter how it gets stripped, you're going to hate. That's hate. So it's a value and worth drain, which is a light and love drain. And you resent it. And the resentment gets you willing to get it back. Stop it! You're not taking it anymore. So it shifts your interest to value and worth and getting love and light back online. I just made that super simple. You might want to listen to it several times because it was just a bottom line way to think about something that any psychologist or psychiatrist could convolute on a 300-page thesis, and by the time you got done with it, you would say, I'm not quite sure what this means to me that I can apply tomorrow. Okay? Think about it. Okay? And life worth living is always going to be based upon having your value and worth uplifted and taught how to make that thrive. Thrive. Okay? I'm about to show you a glimpse of the sickness and the pain and sorrow that is coming. And it's going to be your child's experience and training. If you accept, 1, that going to school at all costs, and that includes offering your child up as a sacrificial lamb to the fear of others and to things that medicine has already proven are not accurate and true. Okay? And that the needs and desires of the NEA teachers far exceed your child's developmental and learning needs. You have to accept those two things, and they're both totally unacceptable. But think about it. Oh, we need a technical assistance here. Oh, was that blocking the screen?
Yeah.
Oh, he told me we'd have to fade me in and out.
Make sure everyone can read.
Thank you. Let's all give a little kudos. Thank you, Tryson. We can read the screen now. So I'm going to just quickly read it. I'm about to show you a glimpse of the sickness that is coming and going to be your child's experience and training. Doesn't that make you want to vomit? It does make me. If you accept, and it's dependent upon you giving up your power as a parent, your right to champion and be that leader and protector for your child. If you accept that going to school, a crappy school at that, at all costs, your child is allowed to be a sacrificial lamb to the needs and desires of NEA teachers, and that their needs exceed your child's developmental and learning needs, I encourage you and advocate with all my heart and soul and resources that I can help you muster. No, it is not worth going to school at all costs. There are better schools. And if you say no, the president will deal with the fact that nobody is taking their kids to these public schools that are abusing their children, and nobody wants all that oversight and masking of their kids. And guess what? We will open up a great power, and the president has already said he would help us get our learning vouchers so you can take them to a school that is great. And you want to know how many private schools will open up that you'll have to check to take to that will deliver some of the best education ever? You're going to be able to afford great education. But you have to make it happen, and you do it for just one reason. Your child is worth it and does not deserve to be a sacrificial lamb to crap and to being turned into a sociopath. I mean, I can't imagine too many parents are listening to this going, yeah, that's exactly my plan. Okay? So my question is this. Is this what you're willing to say is okay for your child? I'm not going to answer this for you. I'm going to encourage you to think this over and have the strength and now the awareness to know why you want to say no. Why you know you're upset about something. I hope that you can get the bottom line reason you're feeling that urge to say no to the schools for what they're doing. And to know you have a right and an ability and the power. You have the power. But you got to own it. Okay? Now, after all, compromising and holding your child hostage to scaredy cat narcissistic public school teachers is more important than was right and honest things to do. That's what they want us to buy into, and that is the implication, and that is what most parents think. Do I have a choice? Do I have to do that? Do you agree with this line of reasoning? Yes? No! I'm not sure. I can help you if it's no and you're unsure. If you say yes, I don't even know what you're thinking. You're not thinking in my book, and I'm willing to say that right out loud. And I feel sorry that you're willing to sacrifice your child. But it is a choice. After all, we do have a constitution, and I honor our right. And remember, we're talking about sacred space, yours, your child's, society's. And it's, if you say yes, you're actually saying, I'm happy to break the Constitution down. I'm willing to violate and have an unhealthy life. I'm willing to have a life that's really pale, bland, and not very exciting, no longer warm relationships. And I'm willing to train my child to be willing to hurt other people's and to be quite inhumane. And I don't really think it matters if my teen hates me and we blow up in those teen years in a way that's irreconcilable. And my child might even take me to some kind of old person's camp because I'm not worthy anymore. We're not going to really be close. If that's your yes, I don't understand it. I really don't, but it is your choice. If you say no, I get why you're saying no. And if you're unsure, let me help you figure out. Let's find out what it is that's making you unsure and help you get sure, one way or the other, because again, that's your right. Now, when your baby was born, was this the future you hoped they would have? Where they would not be able to have socializing? Anybody, even homeschoolers, who really take a lot of care for training their children, they all still seek ways in which their children can mix and mingle with other children of other ages, because they see it's a gap, and that their children blossom and thrive, and it brings greater joy into their world when they can actually connect with other children. Connecting across a screen, like you see here in the first picture, has got so much distancing in it that all we are is looking at icons. There's no touch in that. I can't touch the shoulder of one of those children and say, I feel your pain. Or, golly, that is so cute. None of that's going to happen. Okay? And that's the distancing that makes us antisocial. Okay? Oh, look at this other one. That's not cute. Your child in a box with a mask. What? If they're in the box, what the hell do they need the mask for? They're breathing their own air. We can't even give them a few cubic feet of space. And what? They have to teach themselves on the toys that we give them? This is horrible. This is so sterile and so ugly. I would just want to go in there, and I think this would be similar. You know, for those who read the Bible and are Christian, I can go to just one story that this reminds me of, but from a whole different dynamic, was where Jesus walks into the temples after talking about truth and value and worth being your spirit and not in gold and silver and coins, and went in and threw all the money changers out. What was that emotion? Did he walk in there with joy? Did he walk in there and say, pretty please, people, I'm getting tired of telling you this? Did he do a little show and a skit to get people to laugh and figure out, oh, this is not what we want to do? Hell no. If I remember correctly, it's more like he went in there and started turning the tables over and throwing all the money around, and we probably said a lot of words that never got put to print. Because they don't really say that he was saying a whole lot, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't silently just turning things over. What was that? That is the power of the divine emotion called anger. And that was rage, actually, that we see in that story. And I'm pretty sure other Bibles of other religions have similar type stories where if the violation of truth goes over the top and the teacher is still alive trying to get people to understand it, they get angry. And they take a very volatile move, mainly because nothing else was getting through. And that makes people usually stop, take a step back, and go, oh my, this is pretty serious, okay? I personally would like to go in there and rip those little cages apart and take those masks off and hug those children and put a beautiful Montessori lesson in front of them and give them one lesson that they'd all be sitting there excited to have another. Okay? I've been working with a little 2-year-old, and she can't wait for me to come back in and bring a lesson. She's not interested in playing with me. That doesn't get her to go and smile and say, hey, you want to go? Hey, Cadence, you want to go and play? She looks at me like, okay. Hey, would you like a lesson? Eyes light up. She pulls herself together. And it's like, yes, let's do a lesson. She knows she's here to learn. Her mind, everything in her being divinely is tuned in to say, I got so much I want to take in. Help me learn. Help me understand this amazing world. I want to count. I want to be like mommy and daddy. I want to grow up to be like my superheroes. Okay? That's not going to happen in a castrated education system, and it is not going to happen in those little boxes with those little preschool children. This is disgusting. But I still want you. You're the parent. You're the one who's going to have to advocate. When your baby was born, was this what you envisioned and hoped they would have? Boxes to live in? Sterile rooms? Time? you'd have to say, ding, 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 all right, come on, it's time to go to school. But now you'd have to say, it's time to go to hell. School is a new kind of hell and indoctrination. Come on, come on. Is that what you're going to be excited to get them to go? Is that what you want them to eat their Wheaties for in the morning? Have their cereal? Get them all ready to go to school so they can be turned against you? Turned into sterility? If you think your child might be difficult to deal with now because he's bored, how bored do you think he'll be then? What are they going to have to knock out of your child to make him think it's okay to be that bored? What story are they going to have to tell them so they'll come home and be mad at you? Okay? Here's another idea. Here, we're looking at a little bit of hell. School will be this kind of sociopathic different. Oops, I got different spelt wrong. Again, didn't have time to do editing. Please forgive me. Okay. Do we see? Look at this. Are any of these environments going to help your child thrive? Do you see thriving? I don't. Do you see creativity? I don't. Do you see robots? I do. Do you see the breaking of your child's beautiful spirit? Their creativity? Their love of life, their love of learning? I do. This people want to call the new norm. Get used to it. I say new norm. I'm going to step on that and smash it like it's a poisonous spider. And I'm going to smash it and grind it into the ground because I want to make sure it can't jump out after me after I'm done making sure it can't hurt me. Okay. But then again, I'm not particularly poisonous spider savvy. And I don't think too many people are. Poisonous spider. We're all told, keep your distance. That makes sense. Keep away from poison and toxins, but don't keep away from another human being, or love, or sight, or touch. Okay? These are alienating environments. They teach children to be inhumane to another human being. They teach a child to not even respect their own body, their own health. They teach a child to not think, to not respect their sacred space. They teach them to just give up on quality. Lowers their motivation for quality life and makes people say, yeah, let's get rid of the Constitution. Who cares to be free? I want to be part of a crowd. I don't want to think. I'm used to being lockstep. Lock down, lockstep. Interesting. When you saw the Nazis march and not lockstep, does your heart fill with joy? Or does it kind of make it run cold? That's for you to think about. This is what we're heading towards. Can't you see it? I mean, it's not really hard to see. That's why I put a few pictures up today, rather than just giving you words. So, school will be a different kind of sociopathic different, with its alienating teachings and antisocial conditioning. But only if you, as a parent, allow it. You allow it by accepting it. You allow it by sending your child to that school. Instead, you say, I'm going to keep them home. I'm going to look for another school. I'm going to pressure the president, saying, I want that voucher check for a better school. I'm not sending them to those prison camps. I'm not sending them there. That is not an education I'm willing my taxpayers to pay. Those schools can be empty as far as I care. My child is not going to be put into it. I love them far too much. They are far too precious. And I will not do that to my child. You have that choice. You have a choice. But you must exercise your rights and use it. If you want to listen to my words and pull some of the passion and make practice and get some of my passion as your passion, I'm good with that. If I could help you in that way, that's cool. And I want to ask you before I take this PowerPoint down, are things like this a thing of the past? Two hands shaking. I don't want to ever give that up. I wanted to put up a few more pictures of hugs and blowing kisses and doing some other things and dancing, but, well, we were already a half hour late. So this screen at the moment is a little anemic, but I thought the handshake really brought us to the heart of what all the other pictures would have also given us. Because usually you also now are making an agreement, you're smiling, you're meeting, you're greeting. Handshake says a lot. All right, so what do I do now to get out of this? Our wonderful tech person is going to come forward and make sure the right buttons get hit. All right. And I know it looks like you're looking at that picture right now and going, what is that? It's the rabbit hole of going down the wrong path.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Does anybody have any questions, or have there been any comments or anything for us to relate to, or where are we, Will?
Yeah, we have a few here. Well, one was from our friend Vicky.
Hi, Vicky.
This is really kind of funny and yet truthful and what needs to be said. Before COVID, we weren't allowed to enter a business with a mask.
I love it. Oh, Vicky, you turned that one on its head. Ah, the Tao, the lie, the truth, the lie, the truth. That's right. I love it.
So I thought that was one of the good ones there.
Did anybody make a note that they could hear you when you were talking, Will?
No.
Okay, so just in case you didn't hear it, he said that one of the people were typing in, Vicky, she said that before COVID, you were not allowed to enter a business with a mask.
New normal.
Okay, because crime hides behind the mask. Who we are hides behind the mask. We become indifferent to other people behind a mask. That's why people can walk around and say to somebody else, I wish you'd die. Really? Would they say that if that mask wasn't on, hiding their face and you couldn't know who they were? I don't think so. I never saw people doing it. I saw people walking around, didn't even know people. We'd be waving, drive by, smile at each other, even in a car, It's just, that's what we were doing.
That's another thing by Vicky.
Another comment Will says is,
teachers can become tutors, make way more money, and be busier than ever before.
She's saying teachers can become tutors and make way more money than before, and she's right. But it is not ideal, and I'm not going to be a big advocate of looking for tutors. It's going to limit it to poor people, for one, who will not be able to get access to it. And as a tutor, I still can only try to pick up drop stitches that the full environment of teaching needed to give you. But you're right, people can. But I still like holism and the environment for the children, and have tutoring pick up what might have been going too fast for a child and needed more help, extra help.
Okay. Anyway, that was some of the, I thought, more significant
Things, right. And there are many people who know how to teach and have wonderfully creative teaching models. The school that I was working and had for 5 years, it was a micro school. That word micro school didn't exist then, but a micro school was basically, we had children of a wide range of ages, and the goal was to take it all the way from preschool through high school age in one environment, because we all influenced each other and we could all learn at our different levels and still be in the eyesight of the other. It was amazing, and we can do it. We can do it, and it's really, the smaller children just adore the older children, and the older children just really enjoy seeing how much they've grown and how much more mature they are, and how they were there and how they can actually help with their learning at that level. So it encourages us to know more about ourselves, to get our sense of empowerment so much stronger, as well as making us feel really good. It feels really good when you help another human being. And it feels even better when you know you can help them with something you've learned, and that you can actually impact another person in a positive way. It's a beautiful thing. And there's no book that can make that happen. It happens in interpersonal relationships. And in a learning environment, it's accelerated because everybody is moving forward in their development and becoming the adult, which is the ultimate goal. To be an adult prepared to live in the 21st century with these amazing skills, discovering what your creativity is, what your real gifts are, what you're really not so good at. A really great environment brings all that to the table. And right now, I know that that's not happening because you've got people graduating from high school and nobody knows what the heck they're really good at, hardly at all, unless they've had the great, lucky experience of maybe being around somebody like their parent or an aunt or an uncle or a neighbor and just happen to apprentice under them a little bit and realize, oh my God, I love this and I'm good at it. Or get a chance to go to a VOTEC school and take a few classes there and realize, oh my God, I didn't even know I could do this and I love it. Or, you know what, I got a chance to do this and I don't ever want to fix my car. I'm willing to pay a mechanic good money because now I respect how much that mechanic really knows, you know. Just because he's got greasy hands doesn't mean he doesn't know a lot. And that I don't need him, and really respect what he brings into my life. You know, it's how we're different, celebrating our differences in skills, in skin color, in abilities, in talents, you name it. The differences we're all facets of a diamond. And each one of those reflects light and love in a different way. And if we stop hating each other, we take all the masks off, and we stop pretending that we're afraid of other humans, we realize that humans relate and help each other, and then we glow, and we're brilliant as a diamond, the way the divine created us innately to be. There's words for that, unity of oneness consciousness. And we have to change our current paradigms to get there. And that's previous shows we talked about that gave you something to think about in a very collected, very intelligent way, because we are facing a massive shift and we're going to have to change our paradigms. I think that is obvious. And that's overwhelming idea, but some of the shows we've done previous to this help us think about that. And right now I'm saying let's lay our axe at one of the biggest paradigms ever that we have to change because it's alive right before us, and we can't wait for us to fix this another 5 or 10 years down the road. Our children are not something for us to turn into sacrificial lambs because we destroy the very essence of who they could be and why they even took birth. We have to honor that. And that sacred space means we honor their educational space because it's the biggest part of their life. That and relating to other people, family, relatives, neighbors, and being in a community. And right now, everything we're doing with this COVID response is destroying it. And we have to say no. And the one thing that we can carry forward through all of our institutions, one of the most beautiful things we have, and there's many things we can bring forward, many things we shouldn't, and we can't, or they're like poison. No, they aren't like, they are outright poisons that will destroy what our transformational shift is the Constitution of the United States. And we need to add one more to the Bill of Rights, one that was originally designed to be in there. And you know what it was? Freedom of medical choice. Freedom of medical choice. We could do a whole show on the power of the freedom of medical choice, but I can just close very briefly in saying to you, doctors gave me indictments of things that I had, medically speaking, no option. I would be a bladder bag carrying human being, insulin taking for over 40 years now, if I listened to the indictment and instructions from medical doctors. But I thought both of those outcomes, for me as a human being, were unacceptable. And I said, I will do everything and search everything I can to not go down the path and have that be my reality. I'm not going to live that way. And I haven't. And I'm still living. I have no bladder bag. Do you know about that? Yay! Okay, but that was That was told as an absolute impossibility. I couldn't escape it no matter what. But I did. Same thing with insulin-taking diabetic. I knew that would be unhealthy because my grandmother was a diabetic. Okay? So, there are other answers. Freedom of medical choice says I can find my own answer. That's your, okay, doc, that's your choice. I go to another doctor, get another opinion. Okay, doc, that's your opinion. Go and get another opinion. Okay, doc, that's your opinion. I have to decide. Because who's going to walk around with this body? Who's going to live with the consequences of the choices that I make to either nurture my health, to drug up my body and not let it do as much of its health, or to take a drug for a certain time in a day to get me over a hump, etc., etc., etc. The point is this: freedom of medical choice, freedom of the education for your child. Free is hard to compete with, I get it. But look what free has been getting us. Your child is worth more than what they're offering this fall. And I encourage you, say no. Keep your child home and be firm. And there's many of us who are here to help you. We're waiting on the sidelines, waiting for you to say no, so you can open up an opportunity. And then we can get the president who will see massive numbers of people who are saying no. He has already indicated he is strongly willing and considering to give you that voucher check for a proper education. But if you say yes to the current imprisonment that the NEA has put on the table, I think the president's just sitting there waiting and saying, are you going to take it? Please speak up, Americans, and tell me no. Don't let the NEA just accuse me of shutting them down. You shut them down now. So, parents, go for it. Anybody else got anything else? Otherwise, I'm kind of ready to say I think we're done for today.
Well, next week I'm going to be revisiting all the information that I had put up last week, and we're going to do some reconfiguring on it and reset information about all that financial information and more survival information, which people, you need to be waking up here. They're not producing that much food in the country right now. So get more aware. I sent you those 10 companies on emergency foods. Be looking through those. Pass them along, because they're not gonna have the food all along.
And know that your survival isn't just about keeping your body alive. It's about having a quality of life and ensuring a legacy for your child that is worth having. Because right now, the ugly world that's being presented is not one I want to live in. I mean, I've lived a great deal of my life, and if I die tomorrow rather than live in that world, that would be my preference. I'm willing to take the chance to go out and, okay, whatever. I die, you know? But it was quality right up to the last minute. There was my loved ones around me holding my hand. I didn't die alone in some hospital room with people who didn't care and begging for something to touch my heart and to make the passing not so lonely, so isolated. It's evil. It's inhumane. That is the very definition, if you'll think about it, of being inhumane. Man's inhumanity to man. And we're doing it to each other and we're accepting it. Stop it. You got the power. But it's not going to stop unless you stop it. That is the power of the Constitution. That's the world we live in. That's America. But you got to know that, right? Okay, so if you want to get a copy of this book, you can go to Amazon.com. Will, you going to load up the link?
I will.
Okay. You can also get it, and we'll load up the link if you want it in ebook form. There's about 10 places. Go to your favorite place and buy it. But it's available in ebook form. And see if your library won't bring it in for you. I think libraries need to help people who don't have as much money get access to quality materials. And go for it. I truly do love you and your children, and I want the very best legacy. And I want to really sit back and smile watching parents who have a force of nature shift the educational priorities to favor their child's best self, best education. Taking